Hi, I'm Michael Tomasky.
I'm David Frum.
We're here today to talk about taxes and the Buffett rule. The Senate, of course, voted down the Buffett rule. David said to me before we did this, he's interested in how high liberals think taxes need to be. So I'll try to answer that question for you. The answer is there need to be enough taxes. Enough taxes for what? Enough taxes to perform the functions of the state, the functions that citizens cannot themselves perform when banded together, the functions that the private enterprise system won't perform. Now, I know the conservatives will hear me say that and say, yeah, it's never enough. But actually, there is an enough. We always debate what that enough will be, and I don't have time to go into it here. But we have to have taxes to provide for the national defense, to administer law, to clean rivers and parks, to protect the public lands, to perform a variety of functions that need to be functions that only the state can perform.
The state needs to have enough revenues, but the state can raise revenues in the form of a 5% VAT. It can raise revenues in the form of a higher tax on energy, or especially petroleum. It can raise tax revenues in all manner of ways. What is striking about the Buffett rule was the Buffett rule is not a debate about revenue and about raising revenue for the state. It is about setting a symbolic marker that tries to say it isn't just the amount of revenue that is at issue, it is how much of their incomes the very richest people must pay. And that is the question where you say one of the reasons that a lot of people on the right get their backs up is there doesn't seem to be a limit. So on that symbolic tax, which is not always very effective a way of raising revenue, as we discover with the corporate income tax rate that is professedly the highest in the world, but in fact doesn't collect very much revenue at all. Where is the limit there? Because I have no doubt that you'll find a limit on the VAT.
By the way, I'd support a VAT. I'm probably a rarity among liberals, but I would support a progressively structured VAT. On the Buffett rule and the personal income tax, first of all, I should point out to people, know what marginality means, what marginal tax rates mean. It doesn't mean that the government wants to confiscate 30% or 40% or 50% of every dollar that somebody earns. That refers only to dollars earned above a certain amount, just to clear that up. Now, I don't think any liberal would seriously propose at this point in history that we need to go back to a 90% top marginal rate, which we had in the 1950s.
That's not super reassuring.
Which I think, well, let's start there. But I do believe that in the personal income tax code, progressivity should be built into it, because people also pay payroll taxes to support Social Security and Medicare, and those payroll taxes fall more hardly on working and middle class people. If it were up to me, if they made me Emperor David, I would support a 50% marginal rate on some really high dollar figure, like $3 million a year or something like that, which I think would bring some fairness back to the tax code. Remember, wealthy people are paying less as a percentage of their income than they've been paid for 40 or 50 years.
If it were up to me, the tax code would not serve symbolic purposes. It would be there to collect revenues. And it would try to collect revenues from the activities we want to see least, carbon emissions, and it would do the least to penalize the things we want to see most, which is not only work, so I'm in favor of moving away from the payroll tax to other forms of taxation, including a VAT or energy taxes, but also innovation, creation, and the accumulation of wealth, which is a good thing. I am worried about a society that does concentrate too much at the top. I think that the 36% limit of the Bush tax cuts could do that job if properly enforced. That's as high as that top rate needs to be. And if you need more money, the more broadly we raise the money, the more certain we are going to be that the money will be wisely spent.
That all sounds good. If you don't do something that is what you call symbolic, then we all know that the rich people and their lobbyists will get it reduced and reduced and reduced, which is what has happened.
Thank you, and that is, we look forward to seeing next time. I hope that you found the conversation interesting. If so, let us know, and we'll be back.
Thanks.